Hello and welcome to the Virtual Concert Hall's live music channel. My name is Chris Au and I will be your host for today's show. Today's program is really exciting. It's one of our first judges panel of our season, this upcoming season, and I have some really incredible judges who I'm going to tell you about later on. Their names are Avguste Antonov, we have James Welch, and also Lynne, who will be joining this panel discussion on networking. What is networking? And we want to kind of put a spin on it to talk about how networking can be making meaningful connections and partnerships within the music world. We have some absolutely inspiring people on the panel who have connected with other music organizations and musicians from all over the world, and I'm sure you will find it really inspiring. All of this is a way for us to serve you musicians and young performers out there, and by giving you valuable insights about the music world that we have out there. How do you navigate it? How do you navigate this world after you've graduated or during your studies? And we want to give you these insights because it is our passion to be connecting musicians and audiences in real time, music performances and live programs from around the globe. Hello and welcome to today's show. My name is Chris Au and I'll be your host. This is the Virtual Concert Hall's live music channel, and we are coming to you today to discuss a very important topic, which is networking, or as I like to phrase it, making meaningful connections with other musicians, artists, performers, and maybe even donors, sponsors, and organizations that supports the arts. We have an incredible array of shows planned for this season. We also have 4 incredible concert dates at the Val Recital Hall at Carnegie Hall in New York, and we implore all of you to apply as soon as possible because we want to highlight and showcase your music, your talents, your artistry on big stages. We started off with just an online competition where everything was online, especially during the pandemic and the year after that, but now we're progressing into this hybrid model where we have live auditions online, broadcasted all over the internet, all over different social media platforms, but then we put you into in-person venues like Carnegie Hall with organizations and ensembles like the New York Chamber Players Orchestra, so you could be a soloist, so you can work with directors and conductors like Giacomo Franchi and perform a concerto perhaps. So we have all these things lined up, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it and show you a clip about what we have in store this season. So as you can see, we have an incredible season up ahead, and today I want to introduce to our virtual stage some incredible judges and guest artists who will be a part of this coming season. We have James Welch, we have Lynne, and Avguste Antonov, seasoned professionals within the business. And hello everyone, thank you for joining today's show.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we have people coming from all over Europe and US, and I'm in Canada. James is in the US. Michelle, you're coming to us from the Netherlands, is that right? Or
That is correct.
Okay, amazing. And Avguste, you're currently based in somewhere in France, correct?
France, yep. South of France.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So we have a very diverse panel, and I'm going to introduce each one of them personally, very quickly as well. Feel free to also, fill in the blanks for whatever I've missed. Avguste Antonov was born in Bulgaria, where he studied piano initially. and also has studied in France and in the US under some of the greatest pedagogues, performers, teachers out there. He's at home in all repertoire with a special interest for the 20th and 21st century. He recently, and this is fresh off the press, won silver medal in 2023 Global Music Awards for Outstanding Achievement, featuring his CD An American Voyage with works by Robert Pollin, William Wallinger, Carter Pan, and many more. Bravo. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And in April 2019, Avguste returned to France, and in September 2020 became professor at the Conservatoire de Chateaubriand. And in May 2022, he joined the Euro Arts Academy as professor of piano. And in summer 2023, Avguste taught masterclasses at the Talent Music Summer Courses in Brescia, Italy, where he is currently professor of piano, and also at the European Academy of Music. That's an incredible bio, and we thank you for your time, for joining us and sharing your insights.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
My pleasure. And then we want to introduce Michelle Lynne, who's a dear friend of ours, and she has been performing all over Europe as a pianist and as a singer, and delights in speaking at events and teaching her classes of entrepreneurship at the Conservatorium Maastricht and Codas Rotterdam. Exciting. And performing vibrant programs in a partnership with Candlelight Concerts, which we can touch upon a little later. Her debut album features original songs paired with impressionist piano repertoire and was released early this year. That's so cool. And she is the co-founder of the Fearless Artist Mastermind, which coaches musicians to reach their full potential and become courageous at each step of the musical journey. She's also the artistic director of Opus 16 Concerton and is a graduate of the University of Montreal, where I also went to study with Dr. Jean Saunier. Welcome to the show, Michelle. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to reconnect with you.
Amazing. And last but definitely not least, we have James. James has maintains an active career as a piano soloist, chamber musician, conductor. He is the founder of Progressive Musicians, and he's a dear friend of ours. He has won many competitions all around the US and has performed programs in Carnegie Hall and the Sydney Music Conservatorium. We're going to hear a lot of performances of James coming up, and we're just so proud to have you. Thank you so much for joining the panel, James.
Great to be here.
Amazing. So we are here to talk about networking, or as I like to call it, sort of making meaningful connections. We'll kind of go in a sort of a circle about, and I like to start with a question about a story. Perhaps you can kick us off, Avguste, then we'll do Michelle and then James. What is a story of a meaningful connection you've made as a musician and with a musician that has grown and developed into something much bigger than you could have, ever imagined?
Well, I'll go back to the start of Sound Espressivo during the COVID. That was unexpected, first of all, because we all just started to shut down, and then I had the pleasure of meeting online over Skype or WhatsApp, I don't remember anymore, meeting Anna and discussing with her, talking with her about Sound Espressivo, virtual concert hall, and the rest, as I say, is history.
Mm-hmm.
We are now 3-4 years in. We've done a wonderful job, both in a sense of showing to other musicians, other performers, that we can do our job, we can do our passion online, virtually. Yeah. And at the same time, we've done a phenomenal job attracting new performers to our competitions. Mm-hmm. And I say we have done, because I'm lucky to be on the board of directors on the board of advisors for Sound Espressivo, and it's a wonderful job we've done. And for me, that's the story I'll tell, because again, no one would have thought something like this coming out of a tragical situation that the COVID was, and here we are, we're with positive judging, positive comments, however tough the comments might be from the various judges, positive, and just giving an opportunity to musicians worldwide to
Absolutely.
showcase and to continue to do what they're doing.
I love it. Yeah, and what I admire about you, and you've been a judge for our competition since the beginning, is the way that you give feedback right away after performances, and it builds a meaningful connection right away with musicians. Even if they're young musicians or older musicians, more mature, and I love that. And the way you interact is really amazing. Michelle, I'll have you next on stage to tell us maybe some stories or one story that is particularly meaningful to you.
Yeah, I have a couple examples, and the first one is you, Chris, because I think without, Instagram, we met on Instagram, and as you already said, we both studied at the same university, and so it would have been such a shame for us to not cross paths, having so much in common, and thanks to, a couple posts, we quickly connected. And then during COVID, as Avguste is mentioning, I was doing a series of interviews on Instagram called Michelle TV, and I would bring on my amazing friends and talk about what they were doing to persevere through that very difficult time. And you and I did a couple interviews, and it was just instantaneous, like the connection. And when you find people who have the same mindset and outward focus and shared resources, and we follow the same people, and then that's developed into, we're working together in this capacity right now. And I think there's something to be said about when you find people that inspire you, just stay really close to them. And then the second example I would say is my producer for my album highly encouraged me. I was in kind of a phase where I had a lot of songs in different pieces, and he gently coaxed me out of the phase of fear of putting myself out there in a different genre, in a different instrument, and saying, hey, I can work with this. And through his guidance, now I'm at a point where I'm feeling really happy with what's coming.
Wow.
So I think that's...
Could I ask you how you met your producer? I'm just going to push a little. Yeah. How did you make that connection? Yeah.
He wrote me and asked to have piano lessons, and then he was and this happens to me regularly. I feel very blessed that the people that I need fall into my life, and my vocal coach. I met his wife at the hair salon, and now he's transformed my voice, and all these things have happened. But August, his partner, was a friend of a friend, so I knew of him, but I didn't know that. So I had seen that he was a songwriter and had released an album recently. So he said, "Hey, I'd really like a piano lesson," and I was like, "Aren't you a producer? I've been looking for a producer." So it's I think a sign of, Julia talks about this in her book, The Artist's Way, about when you put yourself out there, the universe or God will bring people into your life that you need. And I just have experienced that so much, and especially in our business, I think relationships are so important.
You definitely do that. I see the way you put yourself out there on Instagram and on social media, and it's very genuine and sincere. And I think that energy really feeds off a lot of people who are hungry for some sort of meaningful connection. Thank you for that. James, do you have anything to add on a story you want to tell?
Oh, I'll just add quick. I mean, I think the biggest developments obviously were during COVID. And we had started Progressive Musicians with the idea of doing online streaming and comments before COVID was even a known thing. And then we launched the business and everything shut down a few weeks later, and we're like, what do we do? Well, we're all set, but so we started doing it, and then I think what kicked it off into a bigger place where it is now is just collaborating with Anna Ouspenskaya at Virtual Concert Halls here and Sound Espressivo, and she contacted me during a live broadcast and was just like, I see you're doing live music, want to work with us? And I was like, well, of course, and then now we're doing these wonderful broadcasts here, and we're doing a lot of events, and it's just been revolutionary.
It's extremely exciting to hear that, just a simple message or comment or a DM. I've been very lucky to be able to perform with Timothy Chewy, a violinist who is just all over the world, and we met on Instagram, just like me and Michelle, and these kind of connections are possible. And I just love how, if you're open to it, is loads of things are possible out there. And just want to pivot to, just because both of you are judges, all three of you, sorry, are judges of our competition. I want to talk a little bit about the mindset behind doing competitions in the context of networking, in the context of forming connections. I'll start with you, Avguste, again, and we'll do Michelle and then James. What are your thoughts in terms of this idea of mindset and how we approach competitions? Is it such a negative and political thing, or can we actually have some fun with it?
Okay. All right.
A loaded question. Loaded question.
Yeah, loaded question. Well, I'll stick to my cash answers, whether it makes people happy or not. Competitions, generally speaking, and we talked a bit before the show, can be very political. Because of the judges. One knows a competitor knows or not how you dress, how you look, whatever. At the same time, I think we as performers and young performers coming into the business have to be able to also take that time, that pressure, that pressure of showing what they're able to do, while also being scrutinized from head to toe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that answers the question or even begins to answer it. I think to me that summarizes a bit things. The advantage, we talked earlier in a previous question about the online, about what we're doing at Virtual Hall Sound Espressivo. The advantage of that is that, as you're saying, the feedback is right away. Where in traditional competitions, the feedback can come back 2-3 hours later with whatever negotiations in the back rooms.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's political, and at the same time, you have to, if you want to get into this business, you have to live with it, and you have to accept the fact that when you get in front of people, and that includes concerts, you're not just looked at what you're able to do on an instrument. I was about to say on a piano, but on an instrument, but also at how you look and how you dress, how you act.
Yeah, you're viewed more as a person in general, as opposed to just your instrument. We don't have these sort of like blind auditions that orchestral musicians have sometimes, where it's behind a screen.
And even the blind auditions, everybody, it's very easy to figure who plays what. You judge long enough, you recognize the person's playing.
Right.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michelle, I know one of the great stories of Sound Espressivo with you being a judge is that we had this incredible competitor, Mary Beth Orr, who was part of your program, the Fearless Artist Mastermind. I don't want to give away too much. Could you elaborate on that and the mindset that maybe she had or you had in being a judge, but also collaborating and being present?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll start with... I think competitions are a wonderful opportunity to meet others and find potential collaborations or projects or ideas. There's this meeting of the minds aspect to a competition where everyone is at a certain level. We've all achieved a certain level on our instruments. So I think that's kind of like a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. Just as all the artists of the past would, meet in Paris or meet in New York and kind of get together. I think these competitions can be such a breeding ground for so many interesting things. And if we can take all the focus off the prizes and who's edging out who, and that's the nice thing about having multiple prizes, that people are recognized in various ways, and also the relationship that continues after the competition. So as you're mentioning, Mary Beth, we had a prize from the Fearless Artist for 6 months of our membership program, Fast Forward, and she was the chosen winner for that. And she just ended up being a wonderful contributor to the community. She just fit right in. We're looking for people who are pursuing their own individual projects, who are putting themselves out there in communities, who are building projects, meeting people, and she ended up doing our mastermind. So it was just like a really nice mix, or I want to say mesh. And I think that's what competitions can be. I mean, depending on the level as well. I mean, we're not talking. Everyone wants to make it like the Chopin or Tchaikovsky or Leeds, but I haven't done any of that top level of competitions. And then everything else ends up being like you get jury feedback, and you might study with that teacher at a summer program a few years later, and they'll remember you because they heard you play, and then they can mentor you and invest in you. And I think we need to view our careers as a long game. And when you're in a competition, the risk is that your whole world becomes this like one thing in your life, and it can be detrimental if you don't view it as a stepping stone for something that can help build you as an artist.
Well, I love what you said about the career being a long game, because if you look at the kind of professors or the people we look up to in the industry, they were performing or playing or teaching right until probably the moment they died. It's like this really long career that we have. And I think a lot of people may be thinking short term. And if they kind of think entrepreneurially, just here and there, but consistently and continually, perhaps things can happen. Do you have anything you want to add to that in terms of long-term, short-term goals?
I mean, some of us do the same competitions multiple years, as you're saying, or you see the same. It's a small world, right? Like you're going to see each other again. So I think it's much better to come into these things and look for possibilities and opportunities rather than focus. But yeah, again, it depends on how your teacher has coached you to go into that competition and what your focus is and what the outcome is. But I would encourage anyone entering a competition to make some goals outside of a prize. Whether it's to improve your playing, whether it's to get specific feedback, whether it's to make a connection with a specific jury member that you'd like to study with in the future, so that you don't come away feeling like a winner or a loser, but you come away saying, what have I gained from this experience and how has it bettered me as an artist? And then I think it's very much worth doing any and all competitions because it's giving you a chance to grow.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. James, do you have anything you want to say? Oh, yeah, Avguste, did you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I think what Michelle and you are saying is exactly right. You can't just do competitions with the objective of winning anymore, because that can very easily take you the wrong path if you don't win. If you don't win, if you don't get a prize, it can easily mentally be tough to rebound. But at the same time, for students, and I say students talking about potential competitors and others, for people to be able to look past the pricing, whatever price, they also have to have been taught or have been told the business side of things, explaining that competitions is not what makes a career. Similar to Michelle, I've never done Tchaikovsky. I never done von Cliburn. However, I do know people that have done them and that have disappeared from concert halls because either they didn't have didn't have the management or didn't have the mental strength to withstand whatever comes with winning whatever prize.
Right.
That includes the media, the pressure, the travel, family. If you have a family, if you have kids and a wife, that's even more tough because you're on the road 24/7. So for competition participants to be able to look past the prices of a competition, they also have to be told how it works.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
That you don't have to win first prize at Tchaikovsky to make a career.
Yeah, this whole business of, I really like what you said about this whole business of the music world too, which is something that you don't talk about often when you're so focused on the craftsmanship or the technicality of playing an instrument. James, I just want to bring the mic to you. Do you have anything you want to add to all that's discussed so far?
All I can say is you guys said exactly what I was thinking.
Amazing.
I mean, you can't just go in there with the sole purpose of winning. or achieving the prize. It's like, what can you get out of this all around? And I think you guys all described that perfectly.
Thank you, James. So I'm going to pivot to our next question. I'm going to have Michelle start this. And just would love to know how you got involved with candlelight concerts, which is such an exciting thing, and how that kind of connection was made. And maybe perhaps if you want to share anything else that's related to making connections as you're performing. You've been doing this for about, has it been a year? You can tell me that. Has it been more than a year? And like, what have you discovered about audiences and making connections within this sphere of candlelight concerts?
Yeah, it's been a year and a half, and
Congrats,
has been
that's really amazing.
a joy. It is such a joy, and it's because of what I've learned about connecting with audiences in a way that the classical music industry, I believe, has not caught up to. So I'm approaching these concerts much more from like a pop show or a jazz show, where I'm going to involve the audience. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to share stories. I'm going to talk about the music a little bit here and there. And anyway, how it started was I was recommended by a friend of mine, and important to mention, it's interesting to me how we all keep mentioning COVID. I think there's still lasting trauma, or at least effects from this time of our lives, and
For sure.
I was even looking, I was looking back at some videos from 2 years ago, and I was like, man, we went into another lockdown just 2 years ago. It feels like a different world. But anyway, so during lockdown, I was streaming as an income stream, which was a whole other experience we can talk about another time. But to pass the time, I was playing through a lot of Coldplay scores because they're my favorite band ever, like legitimately. And so when I got a text on my phone that said, hey, we've had a pianist cancel, we need a pianist in 10 days for a show in Brussels to play Coldplay, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, is this a dream? Is this like, it's like the heaven is calling or something? So, and then, there was 500 people there, and I like ran on stage. There's this beautiful story that Ben Zander tells about Josephine, the famous cellist, help me with her last name, Jacqueline Dupre, sorry. And everyone is afraid. I think it's even a competition setting, and everyone's like, oh no, I'm so scared to play. And she grabs her cello and she runs to the stage, and she's like, I can't wait to get up there. And that story really stuck with me. And I feel like that now. Like, I just can't wait to get up there. I'm so excited. And I have 8 different programs for Candlelight, including Chopin and including Fleetwood Mac and some Tim Burton stuff. So there is classical music in it. But anyway, all that to say is that being recommended in and then quickly making relationships with people. And this is something that I've learned over the last few years, the importance of connecting with people, greeting the staff, greeting the tech team, shaking people's hands at the door when they leave. As the artist, we've always learned you just walk in, you do your job, and then you get out. But I've learned much more about this collaboration and this team mindset, to the point where now I'm sending the follow-up thank you messages to the people who booked me. I let them know that I really appreciated them, showing people that you're grateful for the opportunity and that you are easy to work with. And these are all things that I teach my students at the 2 conservatories that you mentioned, because there is this element of people skills that, people who lock themselves in a room for 8 hours a day to practice don't necessarily have the best people skills. So it is something that we need to learn, like how to treat people around you and create good connections so that they want to work with you. James knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, that has been a great, so then I got connected with the Belgian team, now the Dutch team, then the France team. And it's because when the coordinator from that country would show up, I would make sure I went to shake their hand and introduce myself and say, hi, how can I help your team? Or what are you guys looking for? Whatever, just making that connection. And
you're such a great fit. That's like, I just want to emphasize how amazing that is for you, but also it's how good that is in terms of advice. I think it seems like common sense, perhaps, for a lot of people.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It seems like, oh yeah, of course, you should thank people after you. But a lot of people retreat to themselves, or they are so consumed by how they played, or the wrong notes, or other things that's more personal, that they don't remember. It's not about them. It's about the audience and about the people behind, like you said, the support staff. I love that. I want to just highlight that as advice for everyone, that the follow-up, the pre-production, the pre-concert stuff, the way you, the way you dress, the way you present yourself, but also the personal connections that you make. Huge.
I'd like to share
please.
another thing that I learned from actually a leadership conference at a big church in the States, and there is a very, you could call him a celebrity pastor. He's very well respected and honored. And I was shocked that he was standing at the door when everyone exited, and he shook every single person's hand. And it made such an impression on me that he was so humble and down to earth and genuine, but he's like very, very famous in that world. And so since that day, I have started standing at the exit, and I shake and thank the hands of the audience. And I cannot tell you how this has created genuine connections, people coming back, a deep emotional connection, a loyalty in the fan base. And so now I did that first at my own concert series, Opus 16, as you mentioned, and now I do it at Candlelight. And they tell me every time, you're the only artist who stands at the door and thanks people. And people love it. They want pictures. They've got little kids coming up. They're asking me how old I was when I started. They're telling me about, deeply emotional stories. Last night, someone said, my grandma passed away 3 weeks ago. It's been really hard. Thank you so much. She shakes my hand. Another woman was there was recently a shooting this week at the Rotterdam hospital. She said, I work at that hospital. It's been terrible. Thank you for this evening. Like, I would not get to hear what the impact of the music is if I was running back to my dressing room saying, oh my gosh, my phrasing was terrible, or my voicing sucked, or, Avguste said it before we started this call. It's not about us. We are there to serve. We are on stage to give what we have, which is our art. We are there to make people feel something, to bring a deep connection to them that they can't get anywhere else in the world. That is our job. We are catalysts. And so when you get to stand at the end and see that and let the people thank you, I think that also blesses them to be able to say, this meant something to us.
I appreciate that so much. Michelle, that's amazing. James, I don't know what you can add after that, but if you have any words to say about this, and I know you also agree very much with this sort of sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I whenever I get the chance, I like to stand at the door and just greet everybody and thank them. And I get a lot of the same things. And now, even like when we've been producing the concerts at Carnegie, sometimes it's hard to get through the dressing room and back out front there a little bit. But in our last one, I was probably one of the last people to leave the backstage area and come out. And as soon as I got up to 7th Avenue at the corner there, there was still a bunch of people there, being praised for their performances and talking to random spectators. And I came around the corner and now out of my tuxedo too. And, I'm carrying the bag and all that. And people just looked and they're like, oh, because they had seen me on stage for like half a second. And they came over and it was the same thing. Like they had a story. They were, they wanted pictures all together with the performers and all that. Yeah. And it was just, it was really neat to see just, how many people were touched by, the programming. And
amazing.
And it was very encouraging.
I find even like when you're like a page turner, people will notice you. The page turning where people go, oh, you did a great job. I'm like, I didn't even play anything. I just page turned. But is this
that is not a simple task.
No,
I know.
It's not.
Nobody grabbed that dog-eared page like you did.
Especially if you turn the page. Especially if you turn the pages on Schubert.
Yeah. Or
and don't miss a
repeats.
repeat.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I missed one of Preslow's repeats in a Schubert.
Oh
once,
my!
and
Yeah, so you would have been shot. Like if he had it.
Yeah. No.
Amazing.
But now to come back to what Michelle was saying, the networking in concerts starts way before the concerts.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the first communication with the presenter. Starts with how quickly you respond to the presenter with your information, how clean your material is, so they don't have to edit, and they can just post it, and then and obviously, and Michelle again was right, is right absolutely on that. After a concert, there's not the time to go sit down in your toilet and crying about about missed notes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry for the picture, James. I'm sorry, but no. But I mean, it's not the time. You have to get over You have to get over yourself, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over your own arrogance and your own small world,
Really.
and go out there and thank the public.
Yes.
Now in a hall of 500 to 1,000 people, even more, you can't see everybody. There's no way. But those that you will see will remember.
Yes.
Those that will see you greet other people will remember that you are there, that you are interacting. And that's so much more important than crying over a missed note in Tchaikovsky's second movement.
I agree 100%. And also, it's good to note that probably 9 people out of 10 will not have heard the missed note in the Tchaikovsky.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I love that
exactly.
you're saying we need to get over
sure.
ourselves. And yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's
I'll
an
let you
arrogance
finish.
thing, but it's also a vulnerability thing. I know sometimes I feel like I just poured my heart out on stage, and now to go stare people in the face, it's another element of now I have to continually be vulnerable, and I'm tired. And so I've had to learn how to overcome those things, because that's not what the people care about. They care about, as you're saying, being thanked for coming, having that connection. They will remember that you stood there, that you care about them. And it's not about like, look how great I was in my dress and all this stuff.
And by the
Beautiful.
way, you mentioned dress. Well, it's sometimes good, in our world, in our musical world, we're also used to be dressed in black and white. I'm sorry, but 21st century might require a different wardrobe, might require a different color of the day, to make it more entertaining, which is part of the connection. I don't want to sound like we are rock stars. We're not. Let's. Michel mentioned the leadership seminars in the States. One of those guys is Joel Osteen. He is a very famous pastor, preacher, whatever you want to call it. He dresses in costume, but it's we in our own world, we are not rock stars per se, but it doesn't prevent us from wearing entertaining clothes, from including what we're wearing part of the spectacle.
Because we're becoming we're becoming very visual creatures, right? Everyone's so visual these days, and it's a way for us to engage visually with the artists and the people that are on stage as well.
It is, and especially now in the 21st century. Back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000. Yeah, okay. There was maybe not Facebook. There was not Instagram. There was not LinkedIn, TikTok, all of that stuff. So you could, you could survive with the daily black and white. But nowadays, with TikTok, with Instagram, you get shared. You play on stage. Somebody takes a picture of you, shares it on TikTok or Instagram. It's all part of the entertainment, part of the networking actually with an audience.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I want to move. So we talked about networking and making meaningful connections as a performer with other performers and other musicians. We talked about networking and making meaningful connections within the audience and the people who organize concerts. And the last thing I want to just address or ask about is what are your thoughts on networking, making meaningful connections with donors, with sponsors, with organizations that support the arts, or potentially you may have to fundraise. So this one will go with James, and then Michelle, and then we'll end with Avguste.
Oh, me. Sorry. So networking and working with donors and sponsors. We need people. We need the audience. We need everything. And I found over the years that the best thing when you're looking for major donors or just even partial donors is looking at it more in a way of like a collaboration in some way. It's like, well, what would you like to bring to this program, or what would you like to bring to this event, and how can we showcase you? And really embrace them as part of the community. And I think we've gotten a lot of support for our events in that way, where we just were able to make it more of a collaborative event and give everybody their own part, and and it's more meaningful to them, and it's a big part of the investment. It's not everything, but it seems to be one of the big things, I guess.
I appreciate that, James. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because it's not, hey, give me money. I need to do this. It becomes a collaboration. Hey, I would love to work on this with you. Of course, you're the one who may be able to help me financially, but I also want your input. I love that. Michelle, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think what James is saying is really important. It's about shared vision. And I think with a lot of donors, money is actually not the issue for them at all. So they want to know, where is this going? What is this contributing? And what am I building, as James is saying? So if you can get a clear vision about what you're doing, and if you can learn how to articulate that and bring that in a way that people can get on board with, then I've seen a lot of people very easily jumping on, whether it's 10, 15 euros. I have experience whether I crowdfunded an album, and the last few thousand came from someone that I had no idea would ever have been in a financial position to contribute that, but he just got behind the message that I wanted to bring and was like, yes, let's make this happen. So I think our job as artists is also to educate. This is the change that I want to make in society, and this is what your financial participation would make happen, and that's what people get excited about. I have friends, the Dudok Quartet in Amsterdam, and they're starting a festival, and I know they have friends of the Dudok. So these people pay yearly or monthly a sum, 25, 50 euros, 100 euros. And I was like, oh, what do you give them in exchange? He's like, well, we had a list of things, like a VIP concert or a CD, and they're usually like, you know what, you can keep the CD. Just tell me what happens with the money, and tell me, get me tickets to the festival because I want to see you guys live. And people are much more about that vision and experience, and they don't mind the small details that we think that they might. So yeah, just looking at what you're focusing on.
I like that. So artistic vision, and they're more into, they want to invest in a vision, in something, a bigger picture, some sort of mission and purpose that you have. Yeah. And I think that's what really requires a lot of self-reflection about what is this program and what is this thing for anyways. Thank you for that. Avguste, do you want to give us a few more of your thoughts too?
No, what James and Michelle were saying is right on point. I mean, and my perspective is more based on the United States, because I did more of that on that side of the world. But it's true that, donors, sponsors, it's not a question of money. It's a question of what you're selling.
Yeah.
And whether, and I'll just add this as well. It's a question of how their brand can benefit. If it's an enterprise, and I'll give a name like this without any, if it's McDonald's, well, how does it benefit their brand? How is it helping? How is it helping mutually? I mean, it's not about how much money they can give. They can give money. It's that, and it's also it's about how you present yourself to them as well. Because when you're selling a project, whatever the project is, you're also selling yourself to the donor. You're showing them, you want them to understand that they can trust you, that they can trust you with their money, that you're not gonna go run away over in Jamaica, it's really about personal connection in explaining what you're aiming to do. That's so important. It's not the money. It's your project. What are you selling? Who are you? What are you aiming for? What are you aiming for? And how can they benefit from supporting you?
Amazing. I absolutely agree. Amazing. Thank you so much. And with that, this is Wow, we're already at 45 minutes, and I'm so happy to have all three of you just give your insights on this topic, networking, which sounds very business-like, but it actually, for me at least, hearing all of your thoughts, seems to be more about presentation. How you present yourself, presenting yourself not just to the audience, but also to other performers, donors, and the way you do it, which I hear from you, the sincerity, the authenticity about the presentation. And I want to thank all three of you so much for your insights. It's been so amazing. And I can't believe we're already kind of running out of time. And I hope we can do some more like this and talk about this and your stories. Thank you so much for being so generous. I want to talk and pivot to our upcoming season. And we have really important deadlines, October 15th, which is coming up very soon, of the Carnegie Hall live auditions. We have auditions coming up on our broadcast platforms, and we want to put you on stage. We want to put you in these big venues, which will not only help you with your resume, but again, like we talked about, build meaningful connections within the city, within the people living in the city, but also people coming into the city. And it's a great opportunity to meet other musicians, not just of your own instrument, but also of other different genres and other instrumentations and ensembles out there. I want to play a short clip just to promote it, and I'll leave you with this at the moment. Hey, check this out. I know you have always dreamed of performing in Carnegie Hall, so I think this 2023 to 2024 season at Sound Espressivo will be perfect for you. As a platform, we host live online auditions so you can share your music with the entire world. Then we send you to incredible in-person venues like Carnegie Hall so you can perform solo, as a duo, as an ensemble, and with orchestra. This year we have a total of 4 gala events at Carnegie Hall, as well as 4 different opportunities to perform with orchestras in the US, in the Czech Republic, and even in Egypt. We want to help you fulfill your musical dreams. Go to soundespressivocompetition.com to check out our season and to apply. Amazing. And with that, we also want to give a big hand to our sponsors and collaborators, people who fuel and give different opportunities from all over the world to our competitors and winners. These people and these organizations are hugely important to the survival of our industry, but also to give opportunities so you can have your art and your music showcased all around the world. I want to also give a big hand to our team who not only promote all our activities, but also plan everything. We have an incredible team of people who build this. These are musicians, really seasoned performers who understand how this industry works, but also how the tech and all things behind the scenes work. So we give a big hand to that. And speaking of giving a big hand of applause, I want to give once more a big thanks to Michelle, Lynne, James Welch, and Avguste Antonov for being a part of the show, esteemed judges and people I deeply respect and appreciate. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thanks for being such a great host, Chris.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Chris. Look, as a board of advisor here, Sound Espressivo, just want to encourage everyone to sign up for the competitions. You're gonna have a fun time with, you're gonna have fun time playing worldwide live. Fun time meeting the various judges, and we're looking forward to seeing you all.
Yeah, bravo. Okay. Well, we have a show on at 12 noon EST every single day leading up to our season, and we want to promote our show, but also to include you. So check us out, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.